I want to go ahead and start with the death of General Soleimani. This was a big strategic move done by Donald Trump. And one thing I'm going to tell you is that it was a strategic move that needed to happen. I want to go ahead and show a little bit of some footage on the airstrike that killed General Soleimani. When it comes back, I want to get your take on what's going on with the airstrike after the airstrike, and all this extraneous stuff that is coming out after it.
هاي العجلة الثانية، وهذا البشر محترق، لا حول الله يا ربي.
What do you think about what happened here? Do you think it's a good strategic move for President Trump in this country?
If I was giving President Trump a grade on this strategic move, I guess the highest grade is an A, and I'd give him an A+. General Soleimani was the head of the Quds Force, which means the Jerusalem Force. It was founded after the Iranian Revolution in 1979 with the express intent of liberating Jerusalem from the Jewish occupiers and the Christian occupiers and killing them all to make the Holy Land 100% Muslim. Now, since that time, Jermain, they've expanded it to being a terror network all over the world. I mean, it's known in every Middle East country, depending on which proxy they're supporting. In Yemen, it's the Houthi rebels. In Gaza, it's Islamic Jihad and Hamas. In Syria and Lebanon, it's Hezbollah. There are similar groups all over Africa, the Middle East, and Asia. And their head terrorist is Soleimani. Now, he's not just an exporter of terror. He's been a murderer of Americans. At least 500 deaths, American deaths, have been attributed directly to him. His death is put in the same category as the killing of Osama bin Laden and the killing of al-Baghdadi, the head of ISIS, by American and military and intelligence sources, because this guy is actively planning more attacks every day. The IED, the roadside improvised explosive device that's been used throughout Iraq and Afghanistan to maim American soldiers, thousands and thousands of them, was designed by and implemented by Soleimani through the IRGC Quds Force. So don't kid yourself. This guy is one mass murderer. And sadly, and I mean that word literally, Jermain, what should have happened is every American that values American lives, especially American servicemen and women, should have stood up and applauded President Trump for what he did. It wasn't a massive B-52 air raid that wiped out half a city. It was a drone strike that blew up his car. No innocent bystanders were touched. Nobody else was wounded or killed, like when we went into the compound in Afghanistan to kill bin Laden a few years back. It was just him, another general, and his support people blown up in a car. It was an incredibly restrained attack, and one that literally should not be defended and should be supported, applauded, and high-fived to the President of the United States.
It looks like there's a lot of politicians who think otherwise. There's a woman here that I want to speak about. She comes out of the great state here of Minnesota, Ilhan Omar. And let me tell you something. Ilhan Omar, after the strike on Soleimani, came out and said some pretty inflammatory things. I want to go ahead and play this here, inflammatory things. What do you think about Congresswoman Omar and her rhetoric about this situation?
Ilhan Omar, you're a congresswoman. I know you didn't vote for it. I've never missed an opportunity to stab America in the back. She's made a number of comments this past few days. Each one is more outlandish than the previous one. One of the first things she said was that Trump ordered the killing of Soleimani, the biggest terrorist in the world, but was putting into effect stronger Iranian sanctions against the country to isolate them more economically so that they would have less money to spend on exporting terror all over the world. Seems like a logical thing to do, not different than what Obama did or Bush did or Clinton did, depending on the situation. However, they didn't have Ilhan Omar in Congress. She came out and said, sanctions are like war, and war triggers her PTSD from when she was a child in Somalia before she came to the United States and had a great life. In other words, she has PTSD from listening to Trump's speech, but isn't concerned at all about the thousands of men and women coming home from battle who really have PTSD, Jermain, and she made light of it. Secondly, in this speech that was part of the progressive group, Sheila Jackson Lee was talking about U.S. casualties in Iraq, and you can see Ilhan Omar right behind her joking and laughing with Rashida Tlaib, her cohort in hating Israel, hating Jews, and hating America, as if American casualties are somehow funny. I find it repugnant. I truly do.